What makes a simple boy from the icy fjords of Scandinavia rise into legend, feared by kings, whispered in sagas, and remembered for 1,000 years? Was Ragnar Lothbrok truly a man of flesh and blood, or a myth carved by storm and steel? Picture the world of the Vikings, cold seas crashing against black cliffs, smoke curling from wooden halls, and the endless hunger for survival. It is in this brutal land that Ragnar's story begins. His birth is wrapped in uncertainty. Some say he was the son of a farmer, others that he descended from Odin himself, but whether by blood or by destiny, one thing was certain: this child was not ordinary. From his earliest days, Ragnar was caught between two worlds. The harsh reality of Viking life shaped him with hunger, frost, and the constant shadow of death. Yet, in the whispers of the sagas, he carried something greater, the promise of a future written in legend. To his people, he was a boy with eyes that burned brighter than the northern fire, a child destined to lead where others would fall. But legends are never born without struggle. Ragnar grew up hearing tales of gods, monsters, and heroes, stories that blurred the line between myth and reality. And as he trained with blade and shield, he began to wonder, would his name echo in those same sagas one day? Or would he be forgotten, just another soul claimed by the cold northern winds? Imagine the roar of waves, the clash of steel, and a man whose name alone made kings tremble. Was Ragnar Lothbrok a mortal warlord, or a legend carved into eternity? The icy seas of the north split open as longships, carved with dragon heads, slice through the waves. At their helm stands Ragnar Lothbrok, a man both feared and admired. To his enemies, he was a storm of fire and steel. To his men, he was more than a leader. He was destiny itself. Ragnar's raids thundered across kingdoms, burning villages, shaking thrones, and rewriting maps. Each battle added to his legend, painting him as a cunning warlord, a master of the seas, and a man larger than life. Yet even in glory, shadows grew. Betrayal lurked within his ranks. Storms battered his fleet, and whispers of prophecy clung to his name, warning of a fate written in venom and fangs. At the height of his power, Ragnar's journey collided with destiny. Captured, bound, and thrown into a pit of serpents, his story should have ended there. But legends do not die so easily. In the hiss of snakes and the silence of his final breath, myth and history fused. Ragnar became more than a man. He became a symbol of courage and defiance, of the price of ambition, and of a timeless truth. Some men live to rule kingdoms, others live to rule stories forever. What if death was not the end, but the beginning of immortality? Ragnar Lothbrok's story did not die in a pit of serpents. In fact, it was only then that the true storm began, one carried by his sons, and echoed for centuries in the voice of legend. Ragnar's death was meant to silence him. Bound, thrown into a pit of serpents, his enemies believed the saga of the great Viking was over, but they were wrong, because from his fall rose a force even more terrifying than Ragnar himself, his sons. Bjorn Ironside, Ivar the Boneless, Sigurd, Ub, and Vitserk, men shaped by their father's legend, now carried his fire in their veins. They unleashed thunder across Europe, their armies darkening horizons with sails and steel. Cities burned, kingdoms trembled, and vengeance was carved into the bones of empires. What Ragnar began as a man, his sons continued as a storm. But Ragnar's immortality didn't just live in blood and battle. It grew in the whispers of skalds, in sagas told by firelight, in poems carried across generations. He became more than flesh and bone. He became a symbol of defiance against kings, of ambition that dared to challenge gods, of humanity's endless hunger to turn mortals into gods through story. Centuries later, historians still debate, was Ragnar a single man, or many woven together into legend? The answer may not matter, because whether in truth or in myth, Ragnar Lothbrok endures. His fall gave birth to something death could never touch: immortality. And that is the power of legend. It makes sure some men never truly die.